they'll be calling you a radical. Let's get in the trenches with Weber State football. So Jay Hill has another player in the NFL. Winston Reid is signed with the Cleveland Browns. So they're going the same route as Rashid, Shaheed, well, Johna Williams for that matter, Opeta. This is how this route always goes, you know. TJ was drafted, Taron. So, but this is the playbook inside this level of football. Deion Sanders is exactly right. They wait till the draft's over. Is it collusion? Do they all work with each other? Of course they do. It's unarguable. Deion Sanders is right. You know? Well, just think about it. Rashid Shaheed, he's the most electric, dynamic, lightning Rashid player in the NFL. He's playing for the league minimum. Pro Bowl, undrafted. League minimum. Even after these marquee years. Because they tie him up on these 3-year freaking option deals. That's the rookie contract. So why not? Of course they're going to do it. They're saving themselves hundreds of millions of dollars. Each player. You know what Rashid Shaheed would be making this year? If he was a free agent, but they put that 3rd year clause on there. They can boot you to the curb. You know, they're non-guaranteed contracts. You know, get hurt, bye. You know, so you know what he would be making this year? Oh, fuck. He'd be making at least $20 million in 1 year. And it'd be guaranteed. He's making the league, he's making less than $1 million. You know, so that's how they play. Of course they do. So I think it's irony that it goes there. I know Winston well. It's a great place to walk up here. I always walk up here in the spring and the fall. We got a hell of a rain. The Elizabeth D. Shaw Stadium. Now, Elizabeth D., when the merger of General Electric and Utah Construction, who built the entire nuclear industry, when they merged in 1975, the biggest corporate merger in American history, Thomas D. became one of the wealthiest people in this country. He was the major shareholder. He died absolutely young. He died really young. And so that's why the foundations went all in on the hospitals. There was no hospital here when he died of pneumonia. And so the daughter has become, well, their family has become probably the greatest philanthropist in, well, there's no doubt in this state, even more than the Eccles. Oh, yeah, the Eccles Foundation's been looted today. It was all made here, and they ripped it off. I mean, Spencer's from here. Let's do everything in Utah, but I mean, come on, man. Same with John Huntsman. Talk about a sellout. So she donated $750 million in 1975. What built this stadium. Now, why am I talking about this? Because the Cleveland Browns, First Energy Stadium. Now, you know the connection with First Energy and the Cleveland Browns. Yes, all the legislators are in prison. The head of the Ohio Public Commission just committed suicide. He's under indictment. The CEO of First Energy, the stadium was named the First Energy Stadium. Yes, in Cleveland Browns. By the way, the great Jim Brown, the GOAT, passed away this year. You know, so the marquee franchise, the Cleveland Browns in those days. So, but they finally kicked him off. The name of the stadium's not that anymore. Now, this needs to stay here forever. Oh, hell yes. Truly one of the great philanthropists in the history of this country. You know, everything's named, including the D Event Center, you know. So I think it's so irony that Winston goes to the Browns. His story, oh, fuck, his story will blow you. He's another Rashid Shaheed type story. You know, by the way, I gave him one of my folded paper cranes from the Stewart Library. Yeah, same Stewart. You know, that they folded paper cranes, you know. We at a test site, his mother had passed away of cancer, tragically young, so I gave him one. You know, so he's got it. He knows that. His story is incredible, like Rashid's. These are Jay Hill players that nobody wanted. I mean, he'd had a small injury, but when they use that excuse for not drafting, tell me what player hasn't had an injury? Name one. Name one. And they know that these players they immediately sign after the draft or the end zone become marquee players in there. They got to stay hungry. Hungry eyes want to look at you and I can't. disguise. So now Noah Atagi, who's born and raised right here. I mean, I remember he told my grandsons, because my grandsons live right over where he grew up, go to the same schools, the Hawks, and they're talking to him because they were playing for the Titans then over there in Terrace. He said, ain't no Titan, I'm a Jet. I grew up. I mean, he played his whole life here. He's born and raised here. So he got an invite to the Bears. Nice. So I haven't heard anything on Heckard, Eddie. I haven't heard anything. Jay Hill would post it, I'm sure. I guess he'll be the same deal. Invite him to camp. He'll make a team and end up being like Jonah Williams or Opeta. You know, and same with Maxwell Anderson. I haven't heard anything on him. But he knew that. He and I talked, and he's like, yeah, that's where it's going to go, my path. And I says, he's just let my foot in the door. And I says, yeah, I mean, look at Rashid. Look at Mr. Opeta. Look at Jonah Williams. These guys were not drafted. What the? Nice. They're going to land at the football stadium? That's hilarious. There's that much water. It rained that hard. So it's a Sunday morning. It's so beautiful here, and you get a sense of what this place was probably somewhat like. I remember getting a video. There was a mountain lion on the football field, a mountain lion. But I remember during a game years and years ago, I'm doing the call, there was a wildcat actually ran across the field. Yeah, they're all native here. So Winston, I think it's perfect that he goes to the Browns. He's a badass. His story will blow your mind. I know his story from day one, you know, like no other. And so Jay Hill has become the Tom Landry of Big Sky. Well, he was. It's over now. I mean, it's over. And so all you Weber Staters, Abraham Williams, who they let get away here, well, they all got away here. They hit the transfer portal like refugees out of... So Abraham Williams, so Idaho Vandals, he's up there. I think he made the right choice. It's an excellent program, and you got to play. You can't, you know, walk on to... I mean, well, he had offers in major. I heard he had an offer at Clemson, but, you know, that's risky. He's got 1 year eligibility. He's all that. He'll play in the NFL. I see they gave their awards for spring football. Very top of the list, Abraham Williams. We know what he is. He's Rashid Shaheed with muscles. I mean, not to say, right? I mean, just thicker. So, including Weiser, who played with them both, multiple people, quarterbacks, multiple players have told me that they think he's faster than Rashid. And I says, nobody's faster than Rashid, you know? So, he says, no, I think he is. He ran 5 back in one season. 5 in one season. All-time record in the history of the NCAA? Yep. You know, 1 was called back, but he still had 4. Still the record. Rashid had 8 in his career, which is the all-time record. And we see what Rashid Shaheed is. And he's got a new offensive coordinator. So, and, you know, they're all-pro wide receivers bolded. So Rashid be the number 2 guy, will they keep him in the slot? I don't know. But he's all that. They never used him properly here. But Jay Hill's a defensive guy. And Jay Hill, DBU, you know, so Maxwell, I don't know. I haven't heard. My guess it'll go the path as Jonah Williams. Well, maybe even Adam Rodriguez. You know, God, what a fucking player. So Jay Hill has, what, 5 in the NFL right now. And every single one of them, 5 for 5, never got a scholarship offer anywhere but from Jay Hill here. Now, I know Winston's father who played here, you know, and he just came. Winston's dad set up the meeting with Jay, just walked up here and says, hey, you know, here's the situation, because he'd had an injury. Well, who ain't? And he says, what other? And Jay looked right at her and he says, no, you're in. I'd love to have you. You know, here's a scholarship right here, right now. Oh, he's something else. He reminds me somewhat of Ray Lewis. He really has the style of a Ray Lewis. He played like Ray Lewis last year, you know. So 5. Now you think about that. 5 off the same team, off the most corrupt, horrible football program in the world. I mean, name the starting players in the NFL who started in the NFL from Weber State. Jimmy Martin never started. Jimmy Martin was a backup for years and years and years. A great player, good guy. But Lee White, he never started. You know, I can think of what's his name that played on the Lee White team that, I mean, I'm trying to think. It was in the Dwayne Thomas draft. Did he start? I don't know. I can't remember. Scott Shields did. Scott Shields started in the NFL for a little bit. You know, there's been a few. How about Alford down there for the Chargers? Oh, hell yes. Oh, yeah, there's an NFL superstar. His name should be up there. Papuno. Yeah, he played here. And so, but, you know, Rashid, Shaheed. How about Taron Johnson? So you got 5. We're talking, you know, I'm going back in my mind in literally 60, 70, 80, 90 years. This football program's is over 100 years old. Wildcat Morris, he started in the NFL. Oh, hell yeah. He's probably the greatest player in the history of this school. And then Trevon Smith, why he played here, beat to death in a jail cell. Of course, now Rashid Shaheed. Taron Johnson. Highest paid nickel back in the history of the NFL. So Jay Hill puts 5 guys in. Now, Winston, we'll see, right? But he's very capable. And I see in Noah, Taggy got an invite for the Bears. I mean, we love that dude. You know, the Taggy family's an institution here. We love Noah. I got to tell this story because my grandsons are running around like little monsters that they are here. They hear it all the time. I mean, in that rain, in that heartbreaking loss to Sac State, I remember telling Mickey Mennel, I'm walking up the stairs right there, and I saw him. I says, this is right before the Montana game. I said, these next 2 games will define Weber State football for the next decade. This is before I knew Jay Hill was leaving. And, you know, of course, before Snapgate happened, the whole works. So, Bo did it. They won that marquee giant game against Montana, but they lost to Sac State. And Abraham Woods run one back in there, but it was rain, it was cold, what an event. I mean, Gutierrez and I and his dad sat right there. You know, we talked. We watched the whole game together. He was on a recruiting trip. So was my nephew. He's on a Mormon mission now, the linebacker. And so they're running around here like the monsters that they are. Oh, they're heathens. You know, barefooted, freaking in the rain, running. And they got this big defensive billboard with names signed all over it. I says, how the hell did you get Eddie Heckard and his number signed on? He never signed shit for nobody. You don't even talk to people, really. I says, you got to have a football helmet on to have I mean, he's tough as nails. He says, Noah Taggy made him. So we love Noah. He's going to get his chance with the Bears. I think that's awesome. You know, what's his name? The center for the long snapper for the Bears went to Weber High School. Yeah, for real. And so, but he played at Utah State. But Jay Hill's was the Tom Landry of the Big Sky. That's how I'll tag this. You know, so I'm going to stay on this because somebody's got to get in the trenches. I run into Sharp, you know. Everybody says, is it related to Shannon? I got to tell this story about the Sharp brothers here at Weber State in the 90s. A lot of people have no clue on this. I'm teaching here. I'm the student professor here. One of the main counselors there was Shannon Sharp's auntie. She worked here, for real. She worked here. I mean, God, she was tall, straight. I mean, she was awesome. I loved her. She's one of my favorite people. And in fact, I think I have a letter of recommendation from her. And so, Sharp, who plays here now, the wide receiver's flipped from DB. Everybody thinks he's related. I don't think he is, but, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But, so, we have to tell this tale. We have to get in the trenches and tell this tale. You know, I think it's so irony, the Nuclear Energy Crime Syndicate built this university. Everything under that war profiteer you. This is the University of Utah Construction founded here, right here. You know, and so the merger, the parent was Utah Construction. People don't know that. And they turned it into the Jack Welch pyramid scheme. So nasty, so corrupt, blah, blah, blah. The nuclear disaster of Fukushima is so paramount. You know, the D Event Center, that incredible building, they have the graduation on Chernobyl Day. Could not make the shit. Because people are unconscious. That's what's happened here. It's unconscious, just like this here. Why would you take this Jay Hill program and you turn around this corrupt nightmare and build it up? And I mean, my God, I want you to just think about it. It's the most corrupt program ever. And the very first one that nobody wanted, the very first one that Jay Hill gave the scholarship to was Taron Johnson, just the highest paid nickelback in the history of the NFL. That's all. That's all. Where's his name? Those first couple years, I know they didn't win a home game. I mean, I did the play-by-play. Well, they beat Stephen Austin here in a game. That was it. And so that they go from that, can't win a game when he's a freshman, sophomore, to they should have won the national championship. I was thinking about Kevin Smith today, because I have a Kevin Smith jersey, game-worn jersey. How good was that dude? Holy cow, in that game, that heartbreaker, James Madison. Well, they had the heartbreaker here, James Madison. Johnson to Malone. So I have those two jerseys also. So anyway, because nobody was paying attention for all those years. I mean, they were busy running down the University of Utah. It's reckless. I got to tell this. I'm on the train this year to go down to the Weber State, Utah. And I get on the train, not one, but two Weber State professors, old-time Weber State professors. Born and raised here. My French professor, I sat with him. Long-time Weber State professors, long-time born and raised in Opeta, and they're going to the Weber State game, and they're dressed in Utah gear. I told them both, I said it just like they know me both personally. They laughed at me. I says, you fucking traitors, both of you. And they're like, God, can't they laughed, So, I think it's irony that Winston goes to the Browns. You can't make the story up because of First Energy. Now, the CEO of Exelon, who orchestrated that whole bailout and thing, just passed away. He's my age. I have a sudden illness. So, anyway, I think it's perfect. And do I think he'll end up being an NFL starter? Oh, there's no doubt in my mind if he can stay healthy, which he will. So Jay Hill to Tom Landry of here. I mean, you think about it. Really, wrap your mind around it now. You got Rashid Shaheed, not one single person team anywhere. He wanted to play football. He's sending out resumes everywhere. One guy gave him a scholarship, Jay Hill. Taron Johnson, one guy gave him a scholarship. Johna Williams, one guy. Opeta, one guy. Winston Reid, one guy. Abraham Williams will be a superstar in the NFL. As I call him Thunder, as he knows. And the reason I call Rashid Lightning, people can't wrap their mind because I used to just call him Don't Kick to the Rocket at your own peril. I promoted Rashid harder than anyone. I knew from day one. And to think he made a practice squad by that far and he's making the league, man, the superstar that he is. He threw out the first pitch of the Padres game. So he's the San Diego kid. And so am I, the Ogden, Utah kid, Ants. From 801 to 619, from 619 to 801. Shit down and send it over. So you think about this. I'm talking 5 now, well, at least 4 start. That's not to mention Adam Rodriguez. So Adam Rodriguez could play in the NFL anytime he wanted right now. But his own words, no, I want to play. He just tears it up in the. Who's the greatest defensive player? Why they were on the field I ever saw in my. And I've been here since the early 60s. I watched so many, the great Scott Shields. Oh, what a fucking player. But the greatest defensive player I ever saw in my life here, me and George was talking about it. That 2017, 18, 19, those defenses, oh my God. That was Adam Rodriguez. I says, when you guys would get on the field, I liked it way better when the offense was on the field. Teams would go backwards. Jay invented that. He didn't invent it, but he sure used it. He played like a safety, like a linebacker, like a defensive end. Boom, 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 boom. Unbelievable. He's officially a defensive end, but he runs like a DB. He runs like a linebacker, and that's Jay slotted those guys. That's how Jay did that, And he'd line him up on the edge, and he was a one-man fucking wrecking crew. He's the greatest defensive player I ever saw here, and that's saying a lot. You know, TJ wasn't the big marquee pick six. You know, Blanch, who broke the record for pick six for the Cowboys, he had an interception. He played for Sac on this field. So both TJs, by the way, there's another TJ too. The other TJ who played for the Chargers and the Cowboys here. But these Jay Hill guys, Opeta broke, I was at Pro Day. Opeta broke the lift record by like 7 or 8 reps. They put 225 in the bar. I mean, they still didn't draft him. He's with Tampa Bay now. So Jonah Williams, oh my God. You remember that game against Madison? Block in the back on the punt? Oh God, how they lost that game. I still could, that was, oh my God. Those 2 games at James Madison and the one here. I mean, talk about the purple-white curse. So, Johnson to Malone, that video on Johnson and Malone, the one from the stands is way better than anyone in the school. That's my video. My grandson's in that video. I mean, that's a great video. So, he's the Tom Landry of was Big Sky, but that's over. He's at BYU. You know, money talks, but you know, we'll see because Collins left here. He's at BYU now. I'm really surprised that I haven't heard anything on Hecker. I haven't heard anything on Maxwell Anderson either. Maxwell Anderson reminds me so much of TJ. So much. And their numbers prove it. You know, and we know it. I mean, Johnson went way, way late in the draft, but he did get drafted. You know, we see what he's evolved into. The highest paid nickelback in the history of the NBA. You know, he was a Pro Bowler this year too. I mean, he's been in the league for a while now. I remember when the pick six happened in the playoffs, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, I'm going crazy. And I'm all over I'm like, do you realize that none of this Utah media even realize he's from here? Because they don't get any media coverage. Like somebody, I mean, I got trapped here. I'm born and raised here, but I got leukemia, as you know, in 2011. You know, I was out of here. I was done with Weber State and their corruption. I was sick of them, whatever, but I got cancer. I mean, I was headed to Europe to teach, and I got trapped here. You know, I'm literally connected to the hip with that hospital. Literally. And you wouldn't believe who I run into there yesterday. I won't say it. Oh. I need my path. Good Lord. But, so, by the way, I see they got beaten overtime, Lillard, but, God, that's going to be epic. He'll get it rolling. So, how about this guy? Holy shit. How about Dylan Jones? Where will he go? We'll see. But he'll go higher than you think. So, go Winston. That's 5. Now, will he be a starter? I think so. Back to Abraham Williams. And he got this, you know, they gave him the spring football award. Right there in that building. He hasn't even been running track yet. He ran the 60 in the winter track meet, ran the fastest time been running there in like 30 years. He's that fast. And so I call him Thunder because Rashid, don't kick to the Rocket, I used to call him. I used to just call him the Rocket. And I'm down there in San Diego, probably the last real play-by-play I did for the radio station before they pulled the signal. Manny got pissed and bolted, blah, 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 blah. And it's 6-0. Maxwell Anderson. I think he broke the school record for tackles. And I'm like, it's only 6-0. Weber State cannot get a first down. It was just a defensive freaking war. I said, they're one kick away from going to the house, winning this game. Kick to Rashid. There he goes. I'm like, he's gone to Tijuana. 7-6, the Phantom Flag. But so he's playing at the University of Utah, Jay Hill's old place, Andre Dyson's old place. And that's why they're such great DB coaches. I mean, when you have to play and practice every day against Steve Smith, the greatest player in the University of Utah history, oh, yeah. Well, him or Larry Wilson, one of the two. And that's Jay Hill and Andre Dyson. They were DBs on that team. And so, why is he not in the Hall of Fame? God, that blows my mind he's not in the Hall of Fame. Talk about kick returner. I mean, so, his first touch, wasn't that 99 yards to the house? Yeah. Rashid, Steve Smith, a lot of similarities. So I named him Lightning Struck the Building. He runs the kickoff back. It's 7-3 for Weber. Whitingham's shooting down both legs. Jay Hill, that path. University of Utah here. And so I changed his name to Lightning. Lightning struck the press box. Struck the freaking Spencer Eccles freaking press box. And who's from here? Made all his money here. And they laid the game for well over an hour. They had to go back in. They regrouped. Whittingham shooting down both legs. Of course, I go back to that 2008 team of Whittingham's. Do you know that the computer models and all these things, they go back and they've crowned them national champions? I bet you can't name one player on that team. So I see Luther Ellis's son in the NFL. And so, University of Utah, I bet. So Abraham Williams, who grew up in the Shadow, he's West High School. Noah Tagi's Bonneville High School. Right here, these local players, Opeta, Stansbury High School. Of course, Rashid's Carmel. And what's that smell? Is it Deadwell and Carmel? The sprinter, world-class runner. So Abraham's West High School, he's a quarterback. I always thought he should play quarterback here. I couldn't believe that, like trying to turn him into a DB. But so I says, what comes after Lightning? And I told Abraham right after Thunder. So I started calling him Thunder. And he's all that. So I'm excited. To think we'll be rooting for the Idaho Vandals. Of course, to think that I'll be rooting for BYU. Of course, speaking of that coaching tree, Lavelle Edwards, oh my God. Think about that coaching tree. Holy shit. I think there was 9 of them in the NFL head coaches at the same time, including that incredible 2000 Ravens team. Wasn't Billick the coach on that? Ray Lewis? So, wasn't Shannon Sharp on that team? Oh, yeah. So, full of athletes, Jay Hill recruits. Jack Kelly, the world-class BMX bike rider, the world champion. He's at BYU. Collins is at BYU. So, God, to think we got to root for BYU. Oh, my God. We'll just have to hold our nose and do it, man. We'll root for players. Weber, they've got lots of great players on this team. But we saw what happened last year. Top 10 team. When you run an All-Americans off like that, Abraham Williams could be the most talented freaking player in the history of this school. Him or Rashid, they remind me so much of each other. It's unbelievable. He's just thick. He's a whole nother beast. He is something else. He'll be a mega superstar in the NFL. There's no doubt in my mind. So we'll be rooting for him. Jay Hill recruit, only scholarship. So I cannot overstate Jay Hill, Tom Landry, my favorite of all time. He invented the combine. Remember, he invented Cornell Green, the basketball player at Utah State? How good was he? So, congratulations, Winston. Make the most of it, man. He will. And, he's awesome. His mother passed away of cancer not that long ago. I gave him one of my folded paper crane lays. So, after the game, his family did their native chant right there in the orange in this field that night. I'll never forget that. I will never forget. My friend says over Smith's you could hear him chant. You ought to see his family when they show up to a game. Ticket sales will go crazy just in the Browns. He makes just when his family shows up. Oh, that's a family. Stay tuned.